So I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I love Stereophonic and I'm a fan of the music, so I'm super excited to have you on. And so to start off, can you please introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are?
Yes, hi, I'm Denver Milord. I'm an actor and musician, and I live based out of New York City, but right now on tour with Stereophonic.
That's awesome. And so before we jump into a little more about Stereophonic, I want to talk about your career as an actor. And so was there a specific moment that made you realize you wanted to be a performer professionally?
I wouldn't say there was like a specific moment, more maybe a series of moments. Um, you're in high school,
Yeah, I'm a
Timothy?
senior. Yeah.
Senior, yeah. So I think I was around. Uh, I was maybe in my junior year or somewhere around there, and I sat next to a couple kids that were actors, and they invited me to go see Into the Woods,
Oh, nice.
and I was permanently sort of altered
Yeah.
after that night, for better or for worse. The career of acting is a hard career,
Yeah.
but I love it, and yeah, it was a life changing night at the theater.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah.
And so, are there anybody who you look up to as a performer who has helped guide you on your journey?
Um, I wish I could say that I had like a mentor in specific. I think I've been I've had some wonderful teachers. I went to Carnegie Mellon uh, School of Drama, and there was, I mean, amazing teachers there. A standout was this woman, Barbara Mackenzie Wood, who many people who have been through Carnegie Mellon know of her. She is, yeah, just a like a I would say like a beacon of care, and she's truly a special lady. She cares so much about the craft of acting and about her students. She's retired now, but she was really, and she was very not stern. That's not the right word, but she was demanding, and in that she wanted the best from you and the best for you, and that was really special. And in New York, I study with a teacher. His name is Carl Bury, and I just had a phone call with him the other day asking about agent stuff. And so yeah, so those are two people who I haven't really had the chance to see either of them act all that much, but I look up to them in the sense that they are like mentors. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually leads into my next question with you studying at Carnegie. How did your studies at Carnegie Mellon help improve the artist you are today?
I mean, I think uh, this was a long time ago now. I mean, not too long, but over a decade ago. It was a very rigorous program, and everything that I sort of like, my whole foundation is really based off of some intuition, just natural intuition, but really what I learned there. And it all goes. They sort of cherry pick a lot of different acting methodologies, but so much of that is, of course, based off of Stanislavski and understanding, your basic questions about a character, who you think this person is, what are the circumstances of their lives, what do they want, or think they want, what are the obstacles that they're facing, just the utter basics. And it's taken a long time to really maybe understand how to get better at doing that, and applying those in the sense of using sort of actions and ways of working on a text or a play. It's taken a long time to get better at that, and I think it's always a work in progress, and it's every night is a new opportunity to go out and try to refine that. But yeah, I think I'm kind of losing my train of thought. It really it taught me a lot about hard work and acting in general, and it's, yeah. So it's that with a whole mix of other stuff that's happened along the way.
Yeah, for sure. And so, as you mentioned, you're currently starring in the Stereophonic National Tour. And so, what was the audition process like for that show?
I auditioned originally for the Broadway production. I never for a replacement cast. So there had already been a sort of couple versions. There was a version at Playwrights, and I think many workshops before that where they were working on this material. Um, and then they transferred to Broadway from a really successful run at Playwrights, and then they did an extension, and a few of the original cast left, and they actually hired Ben uh, Anderson, who was the understudy for Peter, and he ended up playing Peter on for the last few months on Broadway, and then I became his understudy, and I understudied as well for Charlie. So I did a self tape, like many auditions nowadays. I'm sure you've heard of this thing in your interviews. I did a self tape where I played the guitar riff for Masquerade, and I sang Seven Roads, which is a song that Peter sings in this show. Um, and I did a couple scenes. Really, I think just a Peter scene, and then for the callback, because it was an understudy for two roles, I worked on another scene as well, the scene that's called Freckles and Gingham, um, and that was it. That's I did one audition, and I think from there, probably because of my work on the Broadway production, I did one audition for the tour, but it was really yeah, I just did a few scenes. I didn't sing or do anything, and I think for a lot of other actors it was a lot more extensive because they were maybe new to the team. But yeah, I never had to audition that much. It was just kind of nice,
Yeah.
but yeah, some people come they they do like four, five, six auditions. I was just very lucky in that I didn't have to do that many. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so, with Stereophonic being a very musical play, do you have a favorite scene or song that you look forward to performing each night?
hmm. Favorite scene. I think when we play Masquerade at the sort of closing of the first act or the first part. There's really four acts, but the first part of the play, part one, that is a very cohesive, great, fun moment to play that song. I think also playing Bright. I mean, anytime the music is actually for being a show about recording an album is rather sparse and keeps definitely keeps you wanting more. Sometimes to the upset of our audiences who come and expect a bit more of a musical, but it is absolutely a play with
Yeah.
music. Um, but favorite scene, that's a tricky one. Uh, I think my favorite scene in the show, just overall, and when I first saw the show, is this scene. It's called East. We call it East of Eden, and it's basically when Diana, the character who's playing Diana, or playing the character of Diana, is trying to do record sort of overdub vocals for the record, and she can't hit this note. And I won't say more because I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it for you. But that scene, I think, from a technical, like structural perspective, is so heartbreaking and just one of the coolest pieces of theater that I had ever seen when I saw the original Broadway cast do this. And Sarah Pigeon was like absolutely mind blowingly amazing.
He's amazing, yeah.
And Claire does a absolutely wonderful job of it too, and it's really fun. And it's Pete, the character that I play, he doesn't. There's not too many. He's an intense character, and so it's a little bit like picking which scene but which scene I don't know. It's hard for me to pick because they're also sort of intense to play, and I'm not the nicest person out there, and so but I think that scene just overall is my favorite scene in the show.
Yeah, for sure. And so the tour is recently and relatively new. And so what is a tour stop that you're looking forward to the most, and what is a tour stop that you have really enjoyed playing at?
Um, I mean, I think Chicago will be great. Shout out to the Chicago kid here. No, I think we did. It's going to be hard to beat San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco is a really cool city, and
And
the
that was the
whole
Pantages, right?
that's in LA.
Oh, that's
In
in LA.
LA,
Okay.
yeah. San Francisco was the oh God, do I even remember the name of the maybe it was called the Curran Theater. I think it was called the Curran. There's so many of these theater
Yeah.
names just kind of get mixed up in your head. It was a beautiful old theater. It was a much smaller house, which is really good for this play.
Yeah.
And it's the first time where the play has all of these references to San Francisco and to California and Sausalito, and the audiences in San Francisco seem to really get all of those, and that was very satisfying, and it was just great crowds. So, but hopefully that happens in Chicago.
Yeah, for sure. And like the good thing with the Chicago stuff, I don't know if you've visited the theater yet. So the CIBC is actually relative. It's one of the smaller theaters in Chicago. It's
Yeah,
intimate and stuff. And so I
yeah,
feel like for a show like this, it fits very well. Like
yeah,
because we have like the Nederlander, which is like the biggest one in Chicago, and I think
right.
the CIBC only has like 800. I think eight
Yeah, that's perfect.
eight
That's what it
hundred to like a
was.
thousand. Yeah, like not too
Yeah,
big. So
yeah,
it's definitely like
that's
the perfect size for
yeah,
a show like
definitely,
that.
definitely.
And so along with being on stage, you also have some film credits. And so what made you want to step into the films aspect of the arts?
I just take whatever I can get. When I was at Carnegie Mellon, I got a great role in a Tom Cruise movie that was shooting in town, and did that. I would say like up to this point with Stereophonic, that was probably my sort of top credit. I mean, I've done some smaller roles on a lot of other little TV shows, maybe 6 or 7 different TV shows, and but nothing super substantial as of yet. Hopefully, that all is subject to change. Um, but yeah, it's all the same. To me, it's all the same sort of thing. It's you just take the work as it comes. So gotten to do probably about a play a year, and sprinkled in there occasionally is like a little TV gig, and we'll see. Hopefully that all changes. It's so much of it's like luck and waiting for a break, and I think in some ways this tour was a lucky break for me
Yeah.
to play the role that I'm playing. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
it'll
for
be
sure.
more.
And so if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
What a tough question. What advice would you give to your older self? Let's see. I think, what advice would I give to my younger self? I would tell myself to. I don't. It's funny because my younger self probably would just do the same thing anyway, but I would tell myself to be a little less self conscious and a bit more like take action, go, just take action. That's it. Like try not to get in your own way as much as you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And so this next question kind of ties into the last one, but what advice would you give to younger performers who want to pursue acting professionally?
Oh man, it's a really hard career. I know everybody says that, and not to discourage anyone from doing it, but I think if you're a young performer and you want to be working in this career as a professional, be prepared for a lot of ups and downs, and make your own work. Like, don't sit around waiting for the job to just happen. That would be kind of my advice to myself, which I've gone through phases of making work, but I think it's really important. Nowadays there's so many more cameras and ways of putting yourself out there, and not that you should always do it for free, but it's like it's important to just be doing the thing. So whether it's class or I would even say over class, just get together with your friends and make stuff, make theater, make movies, be involved in the creative process, and don't get discouraged if it doesn't quite get picked up right away by the industry, because the industry is like a smoke and mirrors game anyway. It's really it seems maybe a bit more glamorous from the outside looking in than it is from the inside being in it. And I think making things with your friends is really maybe the best thing you could do as a young performer.
Yeah, for sure. And so that actually wraps up the interview today. I'd like to thank you for joining me.
Yeah, Timothy.